I'm Michael Fausti, and I'm an independent director and filmmaker. I guess like many people who end up becoming filmmakers, firstly I'm a film fan, particularly a fan of sort of cult cinema, and I'm a child of the VHS generation, so I got to see a lot of sort of weird and wonderful stuff on VHS during the 80s. Much of it very unsuitable for my young eyes. But I think, like anyone who's a fan of films, eventually you have that kind of internal dialogue of, I think I could do this. And when I was a student, I did start making films. I mean, the problem was at the time, I just couldn't afford anything. Video cameras were stupidly expensive, and where I was at university, they weren't going to let students get their hands on their equipment. So it was actually by chance one day that I'm walking past a charity shop, and there's an old Super 8 camera that someone's abandoned, and lo and behold, I bought it and started making films on Super 8. And it's still a medium that I really love working and I'm really passionate about. Buying film in those days was and still is expensive. And you could, literally we'd shoot one of these 3-minute reels, and that was our film, just kind of almost completely unedited. We'd edit it kind of in camera as best we could, and then kind of like manually edit a little bit afterwards. And then just show it on a projector. And that's really how I got into it. But, eventually I then do start working in video on High 8 and stuff like that. And just shooting sort of promos for sort of mates bands and things like that, before eventually kind of really, once the technology came down in price, starting to make sort of short films and then going on to make a feature film. I guess my first proper film project was a short that we made called Dying Seconds, which was about this police officer who gets called to a deserted location, but finds a bit more than he bargained for when he goes there. And literally, it was one of those in which, we was almost just stuck together with sellotape, all of it, in that we just kind of, we kind of sort of scrounged costumes, and we borrowed the location and sneaked into places to film bits, and it was all just kind of done with a high street camcorder. But I would say that was probably our sort of first consolidated effort at making a short film. And then once you can actually do it once, you get the confidence to kind of make another film, and you kind of sort of think, right, well, this time I'm not going to make all those mistakes I made last time, and I'm going to make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to involve this, and I'm going to involve that. So really, it is a continuous learning process. You start with this kind of, whatever you can film in a day and with what you've got to hand, and then your projects just get bigger and bigger and more complicated as you learn more and more skills, and actually you network more, and you kind of make more useful connections. I guess in total, if you go back to my sort of fledgling artsy Derek Jarman efforts on Super 8, I've been doing this for about 20 years now. But like, most filmmakers in the UK, you're sort of fitting it around your other responsibilities and day jobs, and there are periods when you're just unable to kind of, produce work, often down to financial reasons, or not being able to kind of get access to talent or locations. But as time has gone on, I'm sort of, doing the day job less and less, and actually sort of producing more and more, and actually now starting to actually sort of start to make a living off of sort of making films. Which is always the ultimate goal. It will be small steps, you're not suddenly going to sort of turn around and find yourself, being given millions to make a film, certainly not in the UK. The UK film industry consists of individuals with their own production companies trying to make stuff the best they can with, very little help and very little money, but that's filmmaking in the UK. We've been working on short films for many years now, and I made a film called The Ingress Tapes a few years back, which was a Super 8 sort of artsy film about a serial killer looking back on his life. And it was pretty successful considering sort of how little it cost me to make it. And it did divide audiences, as does much of what I produce. to do again, take a train ride. I used to like taking a ride. You know, after I'd cut them up and burn them on a fire at my place in Bow, I'd just go and get a train. But it spurred me on. It got a lot of attention sort of internationally. So I'd long had this idea about a guy who's obsessed with celebrities and fame and wants to be famous simply because, you know, he thinks he should be. And this became a short film called Dead Celebrities.
I am famous. They say that when you die, the whole of your life flashes before you like a movie. It did. It was a fucking boring movie.
I was very sort of pleased at how successful Dead Celebrities was. It went on to real sort of international acclaim on the sort of short film circuit, and it was played all over the world.
Jim Morrison was 27, with half of his dick in a French grave when he went to Paris. Despite continuing to practice the ritual, Morrison knew it was over. There's nothing worse than a celebrity that refuses to die. Some say that Morrison died from sniffing heroin he thought was cocaine, resulting in a fatal heart attack. The only thing that everybody agrees on is that Morrison was found dead in the bath.
It's played at well over 40 festivals now, and when you get success like that, it gives you the confidence to kind of go on and continue with what you're doing. And this led us to actually make our first feature film, Exit. It had its world premiere at the Horonsea Film Festival in January 2020, and we're currently looking for distribution for it. Whilst it's not a particularly original thing to say, you do have to do it for yourself. People aren't going to offer you a creative opportunity. You have to make these creative opportunities and make it with what you've got. Everybody now has a camera in their pocket on their phone. Failing that, you can pick up video cameras pretty cheaply. And if you've got a camera, you can make a film. Think about what you've got in terms of location. Think about who you know, who could be your talent. And literally just make it with what you've got. Start small, start with a kind of like, short of about 5 minutes, and then kind of sort of see where it takes you from there. Technology is very liberating in terms of being able to get your stuff out to, film festivals. If you're interested in what we do at Fausti Films, you can check us out on our website, which is faustifilms.com. Or alternatively, you can check us out on our social media at Fausti_films. And if you're interested in catching our film Exit, you can see it in the UK at the Paris Cinema Film Festival in Derby. In the US, you'll be able to see it at the Milwaukee Twisted Dreams Film Festival. And also in Orlando, Florida, you'll be able to see it at the Sick and Wrong Film Festival. I understand director of the Sick and Wrong Film Festival, Stephen Stoll, is intending to run this year's festival online. So keep an eye out for that one. Stay safe, guys. Stay creative. Keep watching films and go make some.